Members of the media, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you, and thank you for being here, accepting our invitation. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge and recognize some of our partners who are here today, starting with Professor George Talbot. He's the Pro-Vice-Chancellor of Edge Hill University, and his team, senior faculty members, Mrs. Premila Paulraj and Mr. Surya Bibile, with whom we actually started the Pearson Center, continuing to support us immensely. And of course, our own chairperson, Mrs. Rohini Nanak. Thank you all for being here again. So I would like to start my presentation with a little dedication. In 2018, when I decided to start AIBS, I had somebody who mentored me at the time, somebody who gave me some insights with his own experience and what's happening today in the education sector. He was very far-sighted, and I still resonate some of the things he said to me then, which is still true today. So AIBS is dedicated to two special people in my life. One, an acclaimed scientist and educationist whose yeoman service as a public servant earned him a high national honor for his contribution to the development of science and technology in Sri Lanka. The other literally dropped out of school to bring up family, devoting the best period of her life to educate her children and support her husband in his career. Ladies and gentlemen, my loving parents, late Vidyanidhi Dr. N.R. De Silva and late Mrs. Manil De Silva. So I said in 2016, or maybe a little earlier, my father had this idea, because I was pursuing developing, as Savitri said, our associate institution which was helping students to transcend national boundaries and go overseas for their education. And one day he told me, how many people within Sri Lanka can go overseas? Do you have an alternative? Do you have an opportunity for Sri Lankan students to secure some of those qualifications right here in Sri Lanka? So I told him, yes, that's quite possible, but we need to work hard to convince some of the partner universities, awarding bodies, globally recognized awarding bodies, to come over to Sri Lanka. And I made a promise that we'll work on it and we will do something about it. And with that thought, I started working, but unfortunately my late father was not able to see what happened in 2018 when we kicked off Asian Institute of Business and Science. When we got a team together, including my current chairperson, Mrs. Nanak, we wanted to develop 3 key ingredients or attributes that will make us a successful institution as we grow. The first one was to have a very good vision and a business philosophy that will not change day by day. Second one was to inculcate some values, good practices, ethical work in our institution. And thirdly, of course, leadership, good governance. So we have modeled AIBS on these 3 basic but very important ingredients, and I'll try to deal with each of those three. So the first one is the vision that we have. We call it within our organization the 6 pillars. So we pivot our vision and business philosophy on 6 pillars. And what are they? I mean, broadly, we want to deliver affordable, internationally accredited qualifications. Second one, develop partnerships with international organizations so that we can leverage on their skills, leverage on their brand, upskill our own team members, our academics, etc. Then we want to have a suite of qualifications that will provide good employment to our graduates. And then even also if they want to progress overseas, that will be recognized, these qualifications will be recognized. And of course, our ultimate objective is to become a center of excellence. So you will see 2 of these pillars, I have colored them in yellow. And those are the key attributes of good transnational education opportunities. Internationally recognized qualifications and working with partners. That's exactly what we have done, which is what I'm going to talk a little more in detail as we go along. The second ingredient that I spoke of was our core values. Yes, we do have very good values that we have developed. It applies to all our stakeholders. The first one is commitment, our dedication to meeting the needs of the communities. Second one, to respect everyone, our students, all our stakeholders, and the various communities, again, that we serve. Third one is the excellence. We want to make AIBS a center of excellence, and I believe the entire team we have today, one of their key drivers is to achieve excellence in whatever we do. Fourth is the accountability and integrity. I don't have to say what that is. Today we yearn to have people who are accountable, people with integrity to serve ourselves and serve our communities. And finally, the diversity. We have no color bar, we have no religious bar. We will support, we will deliver, we will employ people from all walks of lives. So we have developed a small mnemonic called CREED. The 5 letters adds up to a mnemonic called CREED, and that's ingrained in our day-to-day life at AIBS. In fact, when we employ new team members, part of the orientation is to give them this importance of core values, the CREED. The third ingredient, as I said, was the governance and the leadership. And we put together people from an academic background, people who have been in academia, lecturing, senior people from the universities, both locally and internationally. I was fortunate to have Mrs. Nanayakara to mentor me. Many of you know her background, being the first woman banker in the country, or somebody who headed one of the largest banks and fought her ways among the male competitors. And she brings in a huge strength to our team, to me, in terms of inculcating good governance and leadership strategies. And we have identified resource persons or board of governors who can add value to our resource teams. And you can see a fairly diverse group of people here. And we will continue to expand as we expand our portfolio of offerings. So as I said, in 2018, as Savitri said as well, we started in a very small location and with very humble beginnings. So that was in February of 2018 when we incorporated the company, and we started our teaching journey in June, July of the same year. And the first base qualification, I reached out to Mr. Surya Bibile and Pramila Paulraj, and I said I would like to see the possibility of becoming a Pearson accredited center, the so-called BTech center, and that's how we kicked off. So by July, we started offering our first program, the BTech HND in applied biology. Today we have used that as our base qualification. We've used that as a primary stream to become, as Savitri said, a very science-centric academic institution. We moved on. We wanted to develop more and more partnerships and get accreditations because our end goal was to develop a very functional, a true transnational education provider to Sri Lankan students, and of course we plan to open it up to regional students as well. So by May 2020, soon after the pandemic, I wasn't very convinced at the time whether there was any opportunity for new programs, but I took a risk, and we pioneered the Ontario Secondary School Diploma here in Sri Lanka, and hardly anybody knew what that qualification was. That's the A-level equivalent in the whole of Canada. And today, Ontario Secondary School Diploma, commonly known as the OSSD, is one of the most sought after fast-track A-level equivalent qualifications delivered here. And we produce close to 100 students a year. So we continued the journey. By February 2021, we also started working with another awarding body in the UK, National Computing Centre. It's called NCC Education. And we are currently delivering a pre-university program, which again is accepted directly into year one by some of the UK universities, and it's beginning to gain its acceptance among Australian universities as well. Our relationship with Edge Hill started around the same time. I visited Professor Talbot and his team in the UK, and we wanted to start an engagement, start a dialogue as to how our Pearson HND students can progress to complete an internationally accredited degree. And that discussion led to the first stage of our agreement was an articulation agreement where we agreed to transfer our students who have completed the BTech High National Diploma to Edge Hill University for their final year completion. I mean, that opportunity is still there. We see some students going, but obviously with the impact of the economic downturn, the ability for parents to send students overseas became a much bigger challenge. And then I went back again to Edge Hill and convinced them to allow us to deliver or complete degree programs here. And we signed that agreement in September of 2023. Today I'm proud to say we have been very successful. We've really grown this transnational education model to a true transnational education provider status. And I'll explain to you why I call it a true transnational education provider. This is not merely delivering a qualification here, not a delivery center. It goes beyond that. And this is where we are. If you saw the first pillar in our vision and business philosophy, work with transnational education providers, partner universities, and that's where we are. Thanks to Professor Talbot and his team, we are now fully representative of Edge Hill University right here in Sri Lanka. So what do we offer? So under our TNE qualifications, we offer a number of qualifications at different levels. So we have the pre-university programs where I think a number of parents are now looking at fast-tracking their children's education, looking for international qualifications which can be leveraged on so that they can progress to a university of their choice. So the first one is, as I said, our partnership with the Rosedale International High School in Canada to deliver the Ontario Secondary School diploma, which is awarded by the Ontario Ministry of Education. Very intense program, but we complete it in 12 months. And this qualification can take you to literally all universities. The Russell Group universities, the top tier group of 8, and U15 in Canada, all these universities accept the Ontario Secondary School diploma. The second one is the NCC education diploma, level 3 diploma, which is gaining in popularity. And then we also developed a unique foundation program called the Australian Foundation Year, which is accredited by a number of higher education institutions in Australia, including brands like La Trobe College, Deakin College, Griffith College, etc. Then we went into, then I'm showcasing you the post-secondary qualifications. So anybody with A levels or the ones who have completed the pre-university programs can study the degree programs that we have here. So we have 7 degree programs which we are delivering with the support of Edge Hill University. 3 are in science, biomedical science, biotechnology, and genetics. Then we have 2 in business and 2 in software engineering. Yesterday we had a discuss with Professor Talbot to see how we can expand the offerings and widen our portfolio. And that will continue to happen. We will also look at offering postgraduate programs for Sri Lankan students right here in Sri Lanka. The BTech HND continues to be our base qualification, and thanks to the support of the country team here, we continue to grow the Pearson patronage, the Pearson number of students, and the seamless progression that Pearson offers into a degree, specifically a British degree, helps us very much. Then we also have developed true pathway programs. These are primarily at the moment with Australian universities. So we have a pathway to Deakin University, which is a very popular university, as you all know. And this is, the students are able to study the first year here and transfer to the Bachelor of Business Analytics and Bachelor of Commerce at Deakin. So we have a similar arrangement with University of Tasmania, where the students can transfer to Bachelor of Business, Bachelor of Economics, and Business Administration. So these are the true transnational qualifications or programs that we currently offer at AIBS, and this will continue to grow, and we will have many more pathways, not only to Australia. We are also looking at developing some pathways to Canadian universities. So as I said, I tend to say that we go beyond just a delivery of a qualification. Why do I say that? In transnational education opportunities, obviously the first significant or quantifiable advantage is on the financial side. So we are able to literally offer, if somebody were to go overseas and study, you will have a general idea what it will cost. And I believe the local completion cost will be approximately 10%. So there is a significant financial benefit for the student. And obviously the parents can afford that. The access to other skills, the technology, this is another key factor. Because if we were to deliver a qualification, if we were to go and get, let's say, the Ministry of Higher Education approval for delivering a degree, or a certificate from TVEC, then we'll have to develop our technology platforms, or we'll have to buy technology platforms, the learning management systems. Now, then we have to conduct exams. So today, in an environment where we might have students from Kandy, Gaul, and we need to be able to get them synchronized and take up the exams at the same time, concurrent examination. So you need technology. And the advantage of a transnational education partnership is that our awarding bodies and our university partners or education partners already got that technology. So they will allow us to use it. Both our academics and our students can seamlessly get into that technology platform and make good use of it. I mean, that also gives them the ability to monitor their own progress. Most of the learning management systems that we currently use track the students' progress, and that is a very important element. And this is an element that we are able to bring on board. The other most important one is the global accreditation. As I said, we don't have our own qualifications. Maybe we have one program which we have developed and got it accredited by higher education institutions in Australia, but all the others are awarded by globally regulated, globally accredited qualifications. So for example, if you take the Pearson qualification and NCC qualification, they are regulated in the UK by Ofqual. Ofqual is a tertiary level regulator. Then if you take the university, Edge Hill, and for that matter, all universities are regulated by Office for Students, OFS. So we don't have to go chasing after regulators and get approval. We've got the qualification awarding body being regulated already in a very mature market. That's what we bring to the table. So similarly, our pre-university programs, the Ontario Secondary School Diploma is regulated. And that particular awarding body, which is a joint award between the school and the ministry, even the school is regulated by the ministry. So you are rest assured, it's a comforting factor for you to note that the qualifications that we award or we deliver and awarded by these international bodies are completely regulated in their respective jurisdictions. So that's a unique feature that we bring in our delivery of transnational education. Additionally, we get the benefit, as I said, of our own skills being developed. Sometimes it's a certification process. Example, our teaching faculty of the Ontario Secondary School Diploma first needs to be certified to deliver a Canadian curriculum. So they need to sit an exam and pass that test and be certified first. Then only they can start teaching the kids here an a Canadian curriculum. So similarly, we are working with Edge Hill University to upskill our own academics. Most of you come from the education background. There is no formal teacher certification in Sri Lanka for secondary schools. Whereas if you're in the UK, you have to do the QTS and probably be armed with a postgraduate certificate in education. So what we are bringing are some of these skills, and we will also eventually bring some of these certification programs and qualifications under our transnational education partnership. And I said this here about the teacher certification programs which we plan to introduce as we go along. One of the other things that I'm advocating specifically with our partnership with Edge Hill University. Edge Hill is one of the most sought after research intense universities in the UK. They're very focused, they put a lot of money behind supporting the research initiatives. And I think we owe it to our students, our children here, to develop a research culture. That's the way countries advance, that's the way our students advance. Being conscious of about the abilities to do research and get into innovation, finding new things. So at AIBS, we have started in a very small way with our own little resources. We are starting to encourage more and more students to do research projects, small research modules, which they can seamlessly continue to do in their journey, so that when they do graduate, they have a very strong research orientation in their respective fields. This is something, especially in the STEM side, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is a very growing segment now. We need to make sure that the students have a good inclination towards research, because otherwise they will not be able to do their progression into masters and higher degrees, because those are centered around research initiatives. So this is the collaboration that we have got. These are the additional inputs we have now been able to get under a transnational education partnership. We are also looking at student exchange programs. I mean, when we have a partner university, they have domestic students. They can come to Sri Lanka and do a semester here. Our students, if they can afford, can go and do a semester there. Look at the exposure. Look at what we are doing to our country, even from a tourism standpoint. I mean, we are encouraging people to come over here. So that's going to happen very soon. We've discussed that. So if you look at transnational education, I think it goes way beyond just a delivering of a qualification or awarding a certificate. And that's what exactly we at AIBS, in partnership with some of our university partners like Edge Hill University, are trying to do. I've just missed out one thing. One of the important factors is the student support and the student experience. So student support has become, again, a very important element. UK has even brought laws relating to student support, the well-being of our students. Mental health has become a global issue, and we want to bring some of those best practices, support services, so that we are no different to a student studying at Edge Hill in the UK compared to a student studying at AIBS. So what's next at AIBS? I think I was told to try and limit my presentation time, so I'll try and do that so that we can engage in a nice Q&A. So we plan to widen our program offerings in the coming year, mostly diversifying into other STEM programs like ecology and conservation, biochemistry, food science and nutrition. We'll probably venture into engineering as well, allied health, and something very trending is the digital health aspect of education. We are also looking at getting into specializations in our existing programs like IT or computing. We want to bring cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and even on the business side, the traditional business programs are getting a bit outdated, and as a result, we've looked at areas like business analytics to be delivered right here in Sri Lanka. And we also are looking at the postgraduate component. Some discussions are happening. We probably will start with the business stream, with sustainable management, MSc, and maybe an MBA in global finance. But we are also looking at law and regulation, which is a globally trending area. And as I said, one of the important factors that we are trying to develop is the continuing professional development programs, which is a very key component for updating yourselves, the professionals and the academics, when they go back to work, to update themselves on continuing professional knowledge updates, and certification programs. So these are some of the areas that we will be planning. I mentioned earlier about teacher certification, which is probably is a very, very important aspect, and hopefully we can be contributing to that initiative. I would like to conclude my presentation, but there are some important people in our journey who were not able to be here this morning, and I would like to acknowledge some of them. So firstly, the gentleman called Mr. Charles Cormack. He is the chairman of Cormack Consultancy Group, one of the largest higher education consulting firms in the UK, who does tremendous work globally. And I was very lucky for his inputs, and he gave me the introduction to Professor George Talbot, and you can see where we have ended up, a true partnership that has evolved out of that. Michelle Chui, she is the founder and CEO of Rosedale Higher Education in Canada. A like-minded individual, she was an investment banker turned educationist like me. She's done exceptionally well with Rosedale, and they have 3,000 odd centers globally now delivering the Ontario Secondary School Diploma. Two people who are very close to my heart, Professors Niroshini and Mahesh Nirmalan, highly educated medical professionals from Sri Lanka who have gone to the UK and holding very high office, one in the Manchester University holding the chair of medical sciences. The other one is the chair of biomedical at University of Salford. They have been giving me a lot of inputs on how we can develop especially the applied sciences streams in Sri Lanka. And I've eventually convinced Professor Niroshini Nirmalan to come on board as one of our board of governors, and you saw that picture, and there she is contributing much more than what she should. I want to also acknowledge Bree Gunn, a dear friend, but a professional manager from Deakin University who made our pathway happen. Unfortunately, she's now moved on from Deakin to another competing university, but she made sure that our pathway with Deakin University kicked off. So similarly, Julie Anderson, the Director and Strategy and Business Development at UTAS, who made our articulation and the pathway program happen. And finally, there is a team who works hard with us on the NCC level 3 program, Mr. Anthony Cross and Mr. Syed Ahmed, one sitting in Malaysia who gives us timely inputs, and the other in the UK. And they have been a tremendous support, encouragement to me to have made this journey and even more successful. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patient hearing, and I hope we'll probably get into a more engaging discussion as we go along. Thank you once again.